Jay here for Stretford Paddock, that's Joe McGrath, and this is the live review of Manchester United's epic 1-1 draw with Athletic Bilbao. Also, whilst this is happening, we've got the the Community Shield penalties going on as well between two teams that I can't stand.
We'll be above both of them by the end of the Premier League. Yeah.
Nice, I love that confidence. Joe, looking at United's game, we've gone with the whole Maguire redemption.
Like it's a Die Hard film.
Maguire redemption.
Maguire's redemption.
It sounds more like a computer game. Right?
Yeah.
It sounds like some sort of
So let's talk about the redemption arc.
The what?
The redemption arc.
Go on then.
As a film, in the first half, Maguire balls is up.
Yep.
Bad mistake in the defence. We go 1-0 down as a result of that.
Yes.
And then how does he redeem himself?
He gets the assist for Facundo Pellistри's equaliser. So that's the theory, right?
It's a good assist as well.
It's a good assist. So he cost us a goal, arguably, and he gets us a goal, arguably.
Yeah.
So that's the redemption. The issue we have with Maguire, and get involved in the comments in the chat, and I'm going to get into some of your comments in a minute, and make sure as well you are hitting the like button. Also, we'll give you an update. I'm pointing over there because that's where the screen is, on anything that's going on in the Community Shield if anyone cares. The issue we have with Maguire is he's become this, I think you called it a pantomime during the watch.
Yeah, and unfortunately it's like that.
It is, because I was there last season, pre-season, when he was getting booed in Australia. I think in Perth and Melbourne he was getting booed. This season we saw it again. I think it was at one of the games, well, a few of the games in pre-season he was getting booed. I think the Madrid game he got booed. I think the Dortmund game he got booed as well, which I don't like to see. Now, you can argue that it was a bit of a joke, and it's fans that sort of, some fans that aren't even United fans, some fans that are just taking a mick and don't really care. But there's obviously an issue there with a lot of the fan base when it comes to Maguire. We saw it after his mistake. He was getting hammered on social media. He was getting hammered in the comments on the watch along as well, where people were just saying this is just Maguire, he's not good enough, get rid of him. What do you make of the whole Maguire situation?
Oh, well, it's unfortunate for Ten Hag that he's come into a team where their captain is a defender that costs far too much money and is probably on a lot of money per week. Because how do you manage that? How do you maintain that? He is not going to be part of Ten Hag's first 11, and he doesn't want him as the captain anymore. And that's the transition that's changed now. And we'll go into this season, and that is that. So now what do you do with him? Because do you just keep him as a regular in the squad? Do you let him... I've just saw a penalty miss there.
Oh, Kevin De Bruyne just missed the penalty. There you go, if you care.
Awful crossbar. So what do you do with him then? Do you keep him on the bench? But when he comes on, he just becomes this figure. A figure of people ridiculing him, a people getting on his back. And unfortunately, what that means, Jay, is the pressure builds up on him to try and not be this figure. Yeah. And then what happens? He leans more into the character by making mistakes. It's a like circle.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
And we can't break the circle unless we just...
A deviant amplification spiral.
Cut your losses.
Yeah.
Cut your losses. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he's going to stay with United this season. I don't think we want to sell him. We got to remember United is a business. And I don't think they want to shift him for 20, 30, 40 million. That's what we want from him. And I don't think anyone's going to pay it. Now, especially going into the Premier League year. So we're stuck with Maguire, unfortunately.
Yeah, it does worry me a little bit, the fact that he's on this big money, the fact that the offers coming in are so far below what we paid for him. I know we've had 3 seasons out of him. But when Steve made this point the other week on, I think it was on probably not the Brew, because we don't talk about football on that, but on one of the podcasts I was on with him, when a club looks at a player's value, they're not just looking at what they paid for him, because we paid 80 million for Maguire, and we've had, for better or worse, 3 seasons out of him. I think it's 3 or 4 seasons out of him. That's 4, innit? Seasons out of him. So that is what we paid for. We've not just sort of to get that money back or for whatever. We've had what, you might not think he's worth it or whatever, but we've had our money's worth in terms of the valuation, because you go, okay, you've had...
What does that mean? So you think he's been worth 20 million?
No, I don't. I mean, a club, when they look at a player's price and when they look at what he costs and when they're moving him on, they don't... United don't go, well, we paid 80 million, we've got to get 80 million back for him. Right. Because that 80 million has bought us the seasons he's played. Yeah. For better or worse, because you can argue he's not lived up to that, which I get. But he's bought us those seasons. So it's not just a case of you go, well, we need to get 80 million back for him, because the club will go, we've had a season where we finished third, a season where we finished second, a season where we finished sixth, and a season where we finished third.
Yeah.
He's played his part.
Well.
Some of those seasons he's been a regular, others he's been a fringe player. But that is how the club consider it. So my point is, the club should be willing to take a big hit on him because we've already had 4 seasons out of him. So we should be willing to take a loss in terms of the transfer fee. And I think we've got to. We're never going to get anywhere near 80 million quid for him. And I do feel like with Maguire, the best thing all round is if he moves on. I think it's best for him and I think it's best for the club. The issue is this not just the fee and all that, it's the wages he's on. And I think the club might have to just bite the bullet and go, do you know what? Let's take a hit on the wages. There's talk of us having to pay 10 million for his wages or whatever, and let's take a hit on the transfer fee because we've already had some seasons out of him. We've had enough out of him, and he can't do it anymore for us. I think that might be the best for all concerned because he's just become an absolute distraction. I think it's all a bit of a distraction for Harry Maguire at Manchester United. And personally, I think it's sad to see. I'm not his biggest fan. I'm not going to pretend I am, but I think it is sad to see where you've got a player like Harry Maguire who has just become sort of constantly ridiculed by everyone.
Yeah. The thing is, what's annoying is as well, we're trying to do a review, there's not much you can talk about in this game, really. Sancho, again, I don't think was too great.
Yeah.
I'm just watching the one more penalty here and Arsenal score, they win. So Sancho wasn't too great. Other first team players. I liked Wan-Bissaka, and I think he made a claim for his first team spot. I really do. I think he will be
that was a penalty.
That was an unbelievable penalty.
Yeah.
Arsenal won the Community Shield. Arsenal, they've just won the Champions League.
That's it. You'll never hear the end of that now. So you know what I mean? That'll keep him going. So.
I'd be embarrassed if my football club started waving flags for a one-off game that you got into the final of by coming the second best.
Yeah. I mean,
they are literally not there because they won the FA Cup or the Premier League. They're there because City were too good. Look at them celebrating like that.
I've been to Wembley to see the Charity Shield, the Community Shield. My first trip to Wembley was actually the Charity Shield back in '93 against Arsenal, fun enough, and we beat them on penalties. And whilst it's always good to go to Wembley and win a game, I don't really think I've never thought.
And we saw from last year's, didn't we?
Shield was a
you saw from last year's, it means nothing.
No,
it means nothing.
I think Arsenal.
I mean that in the longevity of the season.
One thing Arsenal can take comfort from this though is their penalties recently been woeful, haven't they?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Against us, they lost on penalties. They had that, was it the game against West Ham, was it, where Saka missed a penalty? Yeah. So to score some penalties is probably a bit of a bonus for them.
It's crazy, isn't it? Because Pep stood there, just done something no one else has achieved in 20-odd years of football, and has to be part of this shambles of a game.
I mean, yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? I just hope that we're there next season playing the team that finished second because we've won at least the double. Just on some of the fringe players that played today, we spoke about Harry Maguire. Facundo Pellistri got his goal.
Yeah, Pellistri's
he's a player that seems to be quite popular from a lot of United fans.
I think it's because when it comes to attacking players, United fans and football fans in general love to see a little bit of passion. We love to see quick players. We love to see pacey players with aggression behind them. And that's what Pellistri gives you. Now, sometimes it doesn't often work. And I've seen Pellistri play where I'm like, he's just missing that little bit of quality that gets him up there with other names.
Yeah.
But we see a very strong squad player in our midst, and he's called Pellistri, and I think that's his role this year.
Yeah. Maya Amateur says, to add on what Jay is saying, there is a lot of sunk cost fallacy when people talk about the 80 million of Harry Maguire. We already paid that cash and it's gone. The question is, what can we get right now for Harry? This is the thing. I think we have to forget about that 80 million. Just forget it. And it's like, what can you get for this player? What is he offering Manchester United at the minute? Is he any value to United playing in this squad? He's probably fifth or fourth choice at best. Yeah. Even Luke Shaw, who's not a centre-back, gets in ahead of him at centre-back, which speaks volumes. Pellistri, obviously, we spoke about him. I mean, I'm struggling to look too much into this. Hannibal came on and was lively.
Hannibal, I really like Hannibal. I think what we can look into is that we've had a interesting pre-season. Losses, draws and wins. I can't say no one sort of standing out as much as they did last pre-season under Ten Hag.
No.
I walk away going, I think this player's great. I think Mainu would have had a really good end to the pre-season if he wasn't injured.
Such a shame.
And that is a shame. I think he would have been the star player. Unfortunately, he didn't have the game time to really prove that. No. But yeah, he's been really well. I enjoyed Hannibal today. But the other players, I've sort of just done okay. Like, I can't really say that any of them will be entering the first team this season unless we really, really need them.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with that. Chris B says, I was at that game in '93 talking about the Charity Shield game I went to. He was 7, I was 13. I think it's difficult when you've got a second string team playing as well, because they're not playing alongside the teammates from the first team. So you can't, it's not like you're going, okay, this is how they're going to fit into the United team, because this isn't the United team. Other than Sancho, Eriksen and Wan-Bissaka, none of those players are going to start for Manchester United unless there's injury, or unless there's a sort of dead rubber or whatever where you're resting players. So you can't get too much from it. I think it's good for the younger players because they're getting appearances for Manchester United under the belt. They're getting used to just representing the club. Yeah. And that is obviously a big thing and a big deal for certain Manchester United players. And I think some of them did relatively well, but I don't want to look too much into it. I think from these games, I think it can hurt more senior players than it can help them. Yeah. I think if a senior player has a bad game in these games, you're going, Jesus wept, he can't even do it in a friendly. Yeah. Whereas I think if you're a younger player, you get for me anyway, you get a pass. I'm not criticising or overly looking into anything that the younger players do in this game, because, like we said, you said it during the watch along. If you look at last pre-season, Charlie Savage and Zidane Iqbal were outstanding. Yeah, they were. And against good teams as well, against Liverpool, for example. And yet they didn't get a sniff during the season. Kobe Mainoo came in and leapfrogged both of them.
I kind of don't know how we stand now at the start of the season. Like, confidence-wise as a fan, and this is just as fans, and this is no us trying to analyse stuff, Jay. If I was to really look you in the eyes, and I am doing now, and go, right, as a fan, we've made signings, we've had our pre-season, we don't know what the opposition is like yet, but where do you see our season ending up? Are we title race contenders?
I think we'd have to have a lot of rubber to green for that to happen. I think we need to be lucky with injuries. I think we'd need to
a collapse as well.
Probably see some of our players that can be a little bit inconsistent would have to be on form.
Yeah.
So Marcus would have to continue scoring his goals. Hoyland would have to hit the ground running. And then the likes of Casemiro couldn't miss as many games as he missed last season.
Yeah.
We'd have to see the best of Bruno.
We have to have a better away form. Yeah. So they're the elements. Rashford does an identical season to last year, if not better. Yeah, Hoyland needs 20 goals, because I think it's Bruno our second goal scorer.
100%.
We do better in our away form, which I think Ten Hag will be looking at as a big weakness. And certain players we keep fit, or certain players learn how to stay on the pitch and not get sent off.
Yeah, I think that for me would be.
Oh, and then we'll win fucking everything.
I think it's actually easier, and I know this is going to probably get clips up.
Here we go.
It'd be easier for United to win the Champions League than the league. And I'll qualify that because I can see you struggling with it, and I get it.
I understand.
It's a bold statement.
Very much like what Liverpool do, don't it?
Liverpool finished 5th and won the Champions League. Chelsea have finished 6th and won the Champions League twice. You can be the 6th best team in England and win the Champions League. To win the Premier League, you've got to be the best team in England for those 9 months or whatever it is. So, and I think our starting 11, if people are fit, is outstanding. I think if you've got everyone fit and you go 1 to 11 throughout that team, you go, actually, in every position, there's a top draw player. In some positions, there's world-class players. You've got one of the best defensive midfielders in the world. You've got one of the best centre-backs. You've got one of the best left-wingers. You've got one of the best creative midfielders. You've got one of the best defensive right-backs. You've got one of the best left-backs in the world in Luke Shaw when he's on form. So I think that you can look at it and go, actually, if you used to put us in a scenario where you've got a fit team and we're in these one-off games, if we get past the groups, obviously, then we've got a fighting chance. I don't think we'll win it, but I'm saying I think it will be easier than if you go for a 38-game season where you need to stay fit, you need to sort of do it week in, week out. Our squad ain't the greatest. We've already seen that when we start relying on players coming in for 3 or 4 games, some of them aren't title-winning type players. I think that's harder for us. So I don't think we will. I'm just saying, for me, it would be easier. We've had one season in Premier League, probably history, where a team no one fancied at all has won the league when the Leicester did. Yeah. No one gave them a cat and nails chance. No one thought they even had a sniff.
It wasn't even.
People thought they wouldn't even get Champions League football, and they won it.
People thought they just got out relegation by the scruff of their neck last season.
So that but in the Champions League, we've had lots of seasons where teams have finished 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th.
So your prediction
won the Champions League. Sorry,
your prediction is that. No, right, no, I'm putting words in your mouth there. I was going to... So are we winning the Champions League this year?
My prediction, right, isn't that we win the Champions League, just so I can put that out there.
Just
because I will get
yeah.
clips up and people go, Jay says we're going to win the Champions League, what an idiot. My prediction is that it's easier, or we've more chance, not it's easier, we've a better chance of winning the Champions League than we have of winning the Premier League.
If you were bookies, Jay the bookies,
you'd
probably take less odds and win the Champions League.
Yeah, I think, for example, for the league, I give us, say, 20-1. For the Champions League, I give us 18-1. Something like that. Something like that.
20 quid, please.
That's how I'd put it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I get
yeah.
to win either is ridiculously hard, and I still think that, unfortunately, despite this recent loss that's in this friendly no one cares about, City it's still theirs to lose. But I'm not saying that United. To be honest, United should be going to win everything. Do you know what I mean? We're Manchester United for starters. We've just finished third and won a trophy. We've brought in a new goalkeeper. We've brought in a new striker. We've brought in Mason Mount. It's probably not quite enough of what we need, but you shouldn't be sat here going, well, we just need to finish third again and win another Carabao Cup. We should be looking at winning the big trophies.
Bring it on.
You know what I mean? That's what we've been brought up on. But we have to be realistic as well.
The taste of success.
Yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be even more difficult this season for United to actually finish third again. I think the Scousers will get their act together. I do.
Nah.
Unfortunately.
I don't. I think Newcastle will crumble as well.
I hope you're right. I massively hope you're right. I think Chelsea, I don't expect them to have a season like they just had. I don't know if they'll be up there, but they're going to be a force to be reckoned with either way.
Yeah.
I don't see them finishing 12th again. Arsenal, they've added Declan Rice. They've probably
Arsenal are interested.
Stayed where
I
they
wonder
were.
if Arsenal might collapse like a Liverpool.
I hope they do. I mean, a lot of ifs and buts.
They
and
can
maybes.
take it out. You look at Liverpool the season
Yeah.
before last, came second, beat City in the Community Shield, thought everything was hunky dory,
Yeah.
collapse.
Yeah, no, it can happen. I just think that, for me, there's 5 or 6 teams in the Premier League who could finish in the top 4.
Yeah.
So for United to finish third again, it's going to be tough, especially now when we've got Champions League football. I know we had Europa League last season and he takes everything seriously. But if we were to get to, say, out the group stage in the Champions League, you might look at it and go, if we have got to prioritise, maybe he goes to it and goes, look, Champions League, we've got a fighting chance here. And if we're sort of 16 points, whatever, off the top, he might go, Premier League ain't happening, Champions League. But listen, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. One thing's for certain, well, 2 things for certain. As someone said in the chat, love United, hate Glazers, says Jordan Clark. I completely agree with that. And also, I think with Eric Ten Hag, you've got a manager who knows what to do.
Indeed, and I think that's shown over the last couple of transfer windows as well.
Yeah.
We're going to this season. Any extra transfers now is the cherry on top of the cake.
Yeah.
Whereas last season we were worried, and the season before that we were like, oh, we're going to get someone, blah, 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 blah. But now, but anyway.
Right, anyway. Big thank you to Joe McGrath for coming on the channel. Go and check out Sloppy Joe's podcast. You can find him, Joe Smith and Ethan James doing God's work on that.
And Adam McCullough in the last episode.
Yeah, Adam McCullough got invited on there. I must have missed that because I was basically...
You were in your room. You could have come in as well.
But I didn't get the invite. I didn't get, Jay, will you come on Sloppy Joe's? It was all Adam McCullough's here.
Hot room
He's got more followers and he's more popular. Let's get him on instead. Do you know what I mean? Can't even play the race card. So you had Adam McCullough on there. Go and check that out. You know where to find me, Jay Motti as well, and Scotty and Motti, and I'm on this channel. Make sure you're hitting like, share, and subscribe. Manchester United drawing with Atletico Bilbao. Harry Maguire costing us a goal and getting us another one with an assist. Is he up for redemption? Let's find out as the season is about to get underway. Thanks for watching.